Radido, KTN News.
All right, this no doubt is grand standoff between the university staff and the national government, which should be working together, by the way. You know, the other day I saw the President, William Ruto Wilson, saying that if one institution of the government takes the other institution to court, they will pay for that cost. He doesn't want institutions taking others, and then they use public money to pay the lawyers and the advocates going to court. But this definitely is a grand standoff between WASU and, of course, that proposal from the Ministry of Investment. From where you sit as someone who's involved in the education sector, do you find any rationale in privatizing public universities?
This is a very strange development indeed. Within the framework of Kenya Kwanza, and I can vouch, President William Ruto and his government is determined to turn around the operations of universities in this country. And as far as I know, what we planned in the charter is what is going to be implemented. Nowhere in the education charter that that was the key flagship of commitment to the people of Kenya. And it's on the basis that the people of Kenya voted, and the charter was developed jointly with university dons. And there is nowhere in that document that talks of privatizing universities. If anything, it's about enhanced funding and improved management of universities. And currently, the Presidential Working Party is working, and I have no details of the level of development in all these, but what I know is that
this is not part of them.
It is subdivided into 3 subsectors. That is one, there's a subcommittee for basic education that is doing more detailed work, including research. There is a subcommittee for TVET, and then there is a subcommittee for university education. That we know currently universities are dogged with financial challenges.
Exactly.
And these financial challenges can be traced back to the era of Fred Matiang'i as the Minister for Education, when he restricted transition from Form 4 to universities to less than 10% of the candidature. And that killed the Module 2, the self-sponsored students who are paying for themselves to access.
And was basically funding the universities.
Yes, that was funding the universities. Yes. And that is how funds are generated all over the world. That was the best decision which Moi, the late President Moi, as the Chancellor of all universities, had been advising to universities to look for other alternative channels. And that is why universities are now in the red. And the Working Party is expected to provide guidelines to the government on how to ensure that universities, Kenyan universities, are competitive, and our students under government sponsorship can access learning and train seamlessly. And one of the models that has been developed, that was proposed in the charter, is the lumping together of Higher Education Loans Board and, of course, doubling Higher Education Loans Board.
What was translated?
When you are doubling Higher Education Loans Board, it means you are expanding the access to the learners will be covered by the same.
I know. If we go that way, we will discuss this in details. I just want an answer to this. Then we'll go to the Working Party, because there's a lot we will have to discuss about that.
So I can say, in summary,
yes,
what is being proposed to privatize universities is a big mistake.
Okay.
Nobody should dare go that direction.
What is the answer to increasing capitation? Because they're looking at how universities are suffering now. Module 2 was done away with. I mean, most universities, including the big ones, I just had beginning of the week that there's a university that is cutting down on courses. Probably they're
Module 2. Yes, Module 2 should be brought back.
That is the answer to this financial crisis.
Module 2, yes. And if you look at KCSE that was released the other day, the transition possibilities to universities at 19%. And in fact, it should be at 30-40%. Students with C+ and above. Through proper moderation, it should be at 30-40%, because close to 50% of KCSE students are proficient enough to join universities, undertake courses, and graduate. And that opportunity must be availed in line with the UN framework of equitable quality education for all. University education should be open to Kenyan households, and it should remain a public good. The route to privatization, and I've been campaigning globally against this, and I don't think within my conscience and my firm professional belief, it will be wrong for Kenya as the third world country to begin privatizing universities for commercial expediency.
Tell me what is the biggest danger? Is it the quality
Ken,
of education?
And I can tell you, Ken,
yes,
it was not in the charter.
Okay, it was not in the charter.
And so it cannot be a matter
Moses
for discussion.
Kuria's words.
That is Moses Kuria's own words.
But he works for William Ruto, the president. So tell me.
I'm not getting into that because I know we deal with the Minister for Education on this matter.
Is the investment serious?
On this matter. Yes, even if it is investment, that investment will have to come through.
What is the danger? Tell me as we leave this topic. What is the biggest danger of privatizing university? One of the things that I've heard there is putting education in the hands of private sector entirely means that even people who should access education will start suffering. Is that the biggest danger?
The private sector actors already have their universities.
Exactly.
And they're already doing their business privately. That's okay. And education being a fundamental human right that is protected within the UN, it must be provided through the government must play a central role in providing education from the basic level up to the highest level. So Kenya cannot give away their public universities to private investors. We saw, and we campaigned across the continent. We saw Liberia. They gave out all their public
happened there?
Public schools.
What happened?
To Bridge International. And that has been resisted, and over time it has been reversed and reverted to government.
You've not told me the danger.
It is not possible.
You've not told me the danger, Wilson.
You cannot use children to commercialize, and that is not right. You cannot oppress households. Who is going to control the fee and the cost of education in these universities? Who is going to control? It is going to be made impossible, expensive, and those who can buy will be able to buy.
You don't think they have checks and balances already as a policy?
No, you can't put checks. Already, there are laws about creation of public institution. And it is very absurd for any country to hand over their public institution to private investors. It doesn't happen.
Let me bring some aspects that Moses Kuria said.
It doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. But Moses Kuria said that there will be a value addition to privatizing. One of the things he said is that we'll use the commercial university land, for example, to do affordable housing. And then they're saying the private investors will have to market Kenya as a center of excellence.
Let me come back, Ken.
Yes.
Let's come back. At the tail end of Uhuru Kenyatta's government, there was scuffles at Kenyatta University because of trying to annex private land, trying to redirect.
That's public land.
Yes, and that's a public university.
Yeah.
And this was corrected by President William Ruto by reinstating the status quo, reverting the land back to university, reinstating the vice chancellor, and reinstating the university council. That is the Senate we would want, and we would want public universities to be run effectively and to deliver quality teaching, quality research, and linkage with community development as is desired within the framework of development. This other arrangement, are we saying as a government, we are unable to deliver services, particularly in the most sensitive sector like education, that we can engage in business expediency? I don't think
your charter was written during the campaigns. Probably reality has hit home, and you realize that what we're thinking about can't happen.
And Kenyans voted on the basis of the charter.
Of that charter, okay.
Yes, Kenyans voted on the basis of the charter.
Yes.
And if we progress with this discussion, trying to contemplate, dreaming and imagining of giving out sensitive public assets. Yes, other parastotals that are business-oriented can be privatized, like Kenya Power and the rest. That's okay. But essential services, particularly social services, are never privatized anywhere in the world. And that includes education and health. It must be provided and fully funded by the state.
To make it possible.
That is how it is.
Let me ask you.
So it's not possible to do it.
Professor
and I can
Magoha,
confidently speak about it here.
Yeah.
Because we did not discuss it in the charter.
You're
and
sure
it
doesn't
exist
exist
nowhere. It has not
nowhere.
emerged as an item of discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, it could be one of the ideas being proposed elsewhere in terms of privatization of parastotals, but I don't think it will see the light of the day. It will be resisted. And
whoever is
such
saying
a statement is causing unnecessary provocation. And I don't think we should discuss it.
Okay, we are ending it. Professor George Magoha, if he was alive with his dream for the education sector, would he have agreed with that proposal?
No, I cannot.
But you know how he thinks because you were in the education sector when he was there. Do you think that's a proposal that would have passed?
Well, I don't think, with all sensibility, any reasonable professor of international repute
and administrator of a university,
that. I don't think so.
Who ran a university?
I don't think so. He ran a university. Professor Magoha ran the University of Nairobi very effectively, introduced self-sponsored programs and opened up access for many learners. In fact, many government workers who work within Nairobi took up courses within the universities, and they've upgraded their studies within the framework of continuing education and education for all, which is a clarion call of the UN. I don't think he would allow that, and I don't think any sensible minister today or tomorrow will allow that. It should not happen. And this is an item that we should not even discuss.
We stop discussing it there.
We are an independent country, and we have got sensitive, critical public institutions. Do you want to tell us that tomorrow we shall discuss that the Kenya Army will be privatized or Kenya Police will be privatized? That is ceding the security. But that's
you're comparing bananas. You're comparing bananas and
education and security are one and the same. Education, security, and health. No government in the world privatizes those entities. Those entities are interrelated. They are properly funded and properly supported by the state. And that is the meaning of an independent state. And when we are talking about bottom-up, protecting the households, we cannot talk about bottom-up and we make universities, certain services inaccessible. That is security. When people are insecure, then that's not right. Education
and health.
That one, all governments all over the world. I want to be told of a country in the world that has privatized healthcare system, that has privatized education, and that has privatized even security and other aspects. Whereas you allow room for private actors to come in. But even we argue, those of us from the trade union background, we would always try to limit the enthusiasm of government to engage in public-private partnership in sensitive sectors, and we leave it almost exclusively for the state.
Government.
So that there is equity, quality, and of course accessibility by all.
I want to discuss the new education system in the country, but before I do that, we have to talk a little bit about Professor Magoha now that we've begun this topic. Your reflection of his time at the Ministry of Education, because at some point before you resigned from that, you worked with him, and there were instances that there was conflict between the union and the parent ministry, which is Ministry of Education. But your reflections?
Number one, Professor Magoha was a grounded scholar, a professor of medicine, who from working at the University of Nairobi ended up in administration, administering the University of Nairobi as the Vice Chancellor. And of course, we witnessed lots of reports of how he was able to engage with the students' organization and the union at that place. Of course, he ended up at the Kenya National Examinations Council at a time when the level of leakage in examination was way out of this world. And he was able to clamp down on examination leakage. And that is where I gave him my hats off in sealing examination leakage. As the Minister for Education, he was able to execute the instructions from his boss, the president, without blinking. And he did it meticulously well. For me, as the Secretary General of Teachers, I also spoke because you can't allow government to dominate over unions and over workers without giving their voices. And I would say, in terms of leadership, this is a person who would form an idea of what to do, whether from his own original creativity or as instructed by his boss, and he would use every means to try and achieve that. So I think I would say he was, in short, he was a go-getter, and he did his best from his own knowledge and what he believed in as a leader. Of course, we had our own times on and off with Professor Magoha. We also had our own stand on issues which have been legitimized over time. And I remember we worked very well during COVID because we conducted our own studies and whatever through our research department. And I think Professor Magoha respected the outcomes and findings of our research studies with respect to COVID. And we worked seamlessly throughout to ensure that we reorganized the school system and redesigned the school curriculum and recovery of time. And towards the end of his term at the Ministry of Education, Professor Magoha at least was able to work closely with the new CS, Ezekiel Machogo, and we saw a seamless and smooth handover from the other government to the new government. And Professor Magoha was gentle enough and cooperative. One thing I liked with him, if he doesn't like something, he will say it as it is. Yes, and that's what I believe in. If I don't like something,
say it.
I don't pretend. I say it as it is. And that is it. You know, in this world, we don't need to lie. We speak the truth as it is. And most of the time, any time we sat with Magoha across the table, at least we admired ourselves. And there's a lot of, one thing that we agreed with him is that we speak what we believed in, and we were able to reason together.
Did he respect what you spoke?
Yeah,
did he respect it?
Of course.
Because they say he was high-headed at some point. He was arrogant and believed only in what he did.
I wouldn't say he was arrogant, because at least, yes, you see, once somebody has passed on, culturally and customarily in Africa, we don't discuss
the negative
men in bad light. And I don't think I would say that was arrogant. That's what he believed in.
Okay.
Yeah, he would talk very harshly.
You just said you speak the truth. You just said when you speak your mind,
but when you corner him with facts,
yes,
he will always listen to you. Because I would always corner him privately with facts across the table, and he would always listen to you very well. And two incidences that I remember very well, we had a good meeting at the Deputy President's office to look at the CBC, the item of forming a task force to review the education as was promised to Kenyans. You see, once you promise Kenyans through manifestos or charters, and you are voted on that that manifesto, you must implement it as it is.
You must deliver it.
And despite the fact that he had a completely different opinion on how to go about the reforms, he was very accommodative to allow the new thinking of Kenya Kwanza government, and he facilitated the thinking of Kenya Kwanza government. And we briefed the president together with Professor Magoha, and eventually a team was constituted. And to me, I think he was an honest worker who only needed a very smart boss to guide him. And I'm sure he did a good job. And may his soul rest in peace.
One of the things that Professor will be remembered for is one of the reasons that we are here tonight. the current education system. I say there's a lot of confusion. I have sat with you here before. We have discussed this here before. At the outset, you thought that it was not well thought about and they were railroading and pushing this down the throats of teachers. And at some point, you had to sit and look at them implement it. Looking back, now that we're implementing CB, we are implementing the new curriculum, and there's a transition to junior school. Do you look at it and say, well, probably I was wrong at that time, this is going to work the way it is?
I have always been right. I was never wrong.
Okay.
At all, because, and I think this is what the government of President Ruto is after. By constituting a presidential working party, it means there was a problem. Matters that are raised in 2018, 2017, and there before, with respect to rolling out a new curriculum, you don't roll out, you don't wake up one morning and roll out a curriculum. There is a process. There are even studies to be done. There is evidence in terms of research, and that is what we have been arguing about. And my arguments have always been based on research and based on international comparison. If you are bringing a curriculum, where has it worked? And do you have, can the economy absorb it? Those are the arguments, simple arguments we're arguing. Like now we are talking about an economy of 2.1 trillion in terms of collection of taxes. And we have an intensive, a resource-intensive curriculum. Is our national economy able to finance? That is one. Number two, when you talk of CBC, CBC simply means small classes with many teachers in a class. That is, Finland has tried it, and currently they are vacating it because the education outcomes has declined since they adopted CBC. So my arguments were based on research, evidence-based. And when I raised concern, Fatuma Chege Task Force Committee was constituted. That was evidence enough that there were problems. And the fact that there is a presidential working party, which is working now, and which has collected views from Kenyans, and it is still collecting with terms of reference, it means I was right, and we were right. Those of us who raised concerns. At that time, Kenyans had not interacted with the curriculum. Now they've interacted with the curriculum. And you can remember, during campaigns, Kenyans were so concerned about the future of CBC. They are concerned today. When students report on Monday for the junior secondary, what really will happen. And you remember, the junior secondary students from grade 6 to 7 were to transit to the current secondary schools, which would have experienced double intake. Exactly. That double intake was going to create prisons in schools, and we would have seen lots of disasters.
So you think this is a solution that they have come up with?
And I salute the Presidential Working Party for averting that catastrophe by recommending that learners in grade 7 proceed in their current primary schools, because nothing much changes. And I also, I think we have a president. The level of education depends on the capacity of a president and the understanding and the commitment of a president.
But that president has said
when Kibaki
I want you to answer this on the president. When the president says this was a good idea but not well thought, I mean, he's agreeing.
Yes, even me, it's a good idea. CBC is a good idea. But according to me, my question is, in terms of economics, can our economy support it? Have we trained enough teachers to do it? The question is, all curricula are good. Okay. It depends on how you implement it.
Take me back to Kibaki. Talk about that.
Yeah, when Kibaki came in,
yes,
he gave a lot of his efforts to education by rolling out free education, putting more resources, and even changing legislation and working on affordable secondary education, which was done in his second term, that now we have very many day schools and 70% of students are attending day schools and being paid for by the state. That was great commitment by a president, and he went further and ensured that universities are opened in every county, so that universities are linked, so that access to university can be expanded. That was the devotion and the mind of a president. And the mind of William Ruto is not any different. And when he alludes that from grade 1 to grade 9, that level should be closer to the household. And that he accepted that grade 7, 8, and 9 be domiciled in the current primary school. That is going to save households from paying boarding fee. Absolutely. The household are not going to pay anything. That is great decision. And then number 2, government may not need to put in much money in terms of capitation. That is what we call economics of education. You also try to be rational in terms of the input while protecting the outcomes in terms of quality. So the workability. So you look at now the change to domiciling in primary. It's something that we had warned that this was going to be catastrophic. But this one is not enough. The Presidential Working Party, other than working on the education structure, is very clear, Article number 15 in the Education Charter, that government, once elected, which is now in office, will conduct robust public participation to review the curriculum in line with the UNESCO standards. So these are not just political things. We are doing it within framework of international practices. And 2 things have got to be looked at: the structure of education system and also the curriculum content. And within the terms of reference, the Presidential Working Party is tasked to undertake what you call summative evaluation of the curriculum, where it is to do all the evaluation in all aspects. So I want to believe there is a research team that is doing that, so that at the end of it, there is a summative evaluation report with the data and even with the scoring of the curriculum, where it has reached, what needs to be changed, what needs to be, if it has to be done away with, that data will guide. And if done away with, where do you move? Because in the charter, we said any changes, any reforms will be done without affecting the progression of learners. So I would want to believe the Presidential Working Party will be candid and honest, and it will provide solutions to the way forward. And one thing I see, Ken, Africa post-independent education system was meant not to bring technological changes. That's why Africa has stagnated in terms of technological changes. But Asian countries found their own trick. They designed their own education and invested in what we call STEM education. Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
I want to get.
And that is why
I want to get to
Asia has done very well.
I want to get to that.
I think what we need to do here, the product that will come out may not necessarily be CBC, may not be back to the 844, but we'll have a model of a curriculum that is unique to Kenya and that will serve the needs of Kenya. And to me, if I was asked, the greatest product out of this will be strengthening of STEM education.
I want to discuss that because I want to look at the subjects, for example, that have been proposed for junior school. And I know earlier on we were speaking, and you're not even satisfied with the number of teachers being hired, if you have proper infrastructure, if you have proper training. I'd like to talk about that. But you are also a member of parliament. Why is it that that big voice was not used to stop this?
Let me tell you, even if you are a member of parliament, you cannot change everything. Even if how many times did members of parliament stand against decisions from the executive, and we lost through what you call presidential reservation. When the president declines certain things and send a reservation to the House, you must raise at least 2/3 of the members of parliament. And parliament may not be as independent as you may think, but I think the greatest thing in this country is when we have a leadership in the person of the president who is sensitive enough. And probably that is what we have lacked. We've lacked serious leadership in all this, but I think we now have a leadership that is more focused in addressing the problems and the gaps. Now, back to the challenges of junior secondary school. You cannot domicile in primary, the grade 7, without addressing the curriculum that was designed earlier on within CBC. Because one, that curriculum was not piloted. It has not been piloted.
Really?
Yes.
How was it adopted?
It has not been piloted.
But how was it adopted?
And that is why my argument at grade 7, tell me, show me data today, that grade 7 junior secondary school was piloted. And there is a pilot report. And my argument, and it has always been my argument, is that the Ministry of Education and government, let us run education professionally, conduct research, and let us do it through evidence.
How it was
must
adopted.
Be evidence-based.
Tell me how this was adopted if it was never piloted. Where was it tried and tested?
That is why
yes.
You were in Kenya. The piloting of this new curriculum was done at grade 1 in 2017, between the month of June and October 2017. That is a fact.
Yes.
Check with the ministry. If you want to pilot reforms of this magnitude, you must pilot from the start of the year up to the end of the year.
Okay.
And that is how you reform professionally curriculum. I don't know about law, how you go about law. I don't speak about law. I can't speak about medicine. I'll speak about education. That if you want to change, and if you have developed a design, pilot it for 1 year.
You must try it.
Yes, for that level. And you, if possible, you must pilot the next stage. When you're moving to grade 3,
because you need to know where you're headed.
Yes. And then when you're moving
with
to
which
grade
class?
4, pilot in advance.
Which class is supposed to pilot?
Of course, you'll do it in sampled of schools across the country.
Okay.
That is allowed.
Okay.
It's allowed.
Okay.
Like now, rolling out of grade 7, there should have been a pilot. You must test the learning materials. You must check on teachers. You must check on many things so that you are able to correct. This was not done. So everything was done casually.
So right now, this is the pilot
and that is
the
why,
implementation.
that is why
Yes.
the Presidential Working Party that is dealing with the basic education has a task to undertake what we call summative evaluation. It will look into all those gaps. But then when you look at grade 7 now, the original design, there are 12 subjects or 12 learning
Now
areas.
we have 14.
And 12 compulsory.
12 compulsory, yes.
And then there are 6 more where a learner must choose 2.
Yeah.
So a learner in grade 7 has got to choose how many subjects? 14 subjects.
Yes.
A teacher teaches how many subjects? 2 subjects.
They can teach more?
No. Currently, for secondary school teachers,
you can only
teach
do
2 subjects.
Okay.
You train in 2 areas.
Okay.
It's unusual. You can get a few cases where teachers teaching 3 subjects. So from that curriculum model...
Hold on, this is important.
From that curriculum model...
A teacher can teach only 2 subjects. You train only 2.
Yes. For secondary school teachers.
The argument was that teachers are trained to impart knowledge, not trained on a specific subject. I know you're a teacher, so you tell me that.
I am trained
Yes.
to teach chemistry and biology. If you tell me to teach
mathematics,
yeah. I will not teach. If you tell me to teach physics, I will not teach.
Okay.
If you tell me to teach anything else, I will not teach.
So you're not just trained as a teacher, so
yes.
you can pick any subject?
No.
Okay.
For secondary school teachers, you are trained strictly to teach 2 subjects currently in Kenya. Now, if that is
the case,
if we'll do now what we call curriculum-based establishment, then it means every primary school, junior secondary school, for effective learning to go on, must have 7 teachers on Monday.
For the 14 subjects?
For the
14 subjects.
For effective implementation of the curriculum.
But
what is happening, they are getting 1 through what government is doing. And this was a great step by the president to hire 30,000 teachers.
Yes.
Yeah, but that is not enough. It's almost 1 teacher per school. Who is going to teach the rest of the subject? But if we do the CBE, it will require 7 teachers per school. Time is 20,000 schools. So we shall need on Monday exactly 140,000 teachers in the classroom.
From where?
So that you can implement this curriculum design.
From where? What is the deficit?
I don't know.
Break down for me the teacher deficit in
schools. So when you look at that,
yes,
this is a new deficit.
In addition to the 150,000?
In addition to the 116,000. This one is a new deficit.
Okay.
It's a new deficit created by this curriculum. And this deficit should have been envisaged at the design stage of the curriculum. So that universities should have started training teachers in music, in pre-technical. If you look at all these subjects, even we don't have teachers in Kenya. How many music teachers exist?
Already. Yeah.
How many music teachers? How many electricity teachers do we have? How many home science teachers did the universities train? Universities were not prepared for for the eventual rollout of this curriculum. So in terms of teacher availability, it is impossible.
If you take the curriculum as it is. Doom.
No, these are facts.
You're spelling doom.
It is data, it's facts.
But you're spelling doom because this is beginning on Monday.
Tell people the truth. Because I want to be told on Monday when students attend school, whether all the 12 subjects will be taught, and students will be able to choose the additional 2 subjects, and there will be teachers to teach those subjects, including foreign languages and indigenous languages, who are going to teach indigenous languages, which is in the new curriculum. So I can tell you there is a big mismatch between the curriculum design and the preparation of the human resource. And there's always been cheating. TSC has been cheating government that, oh, we are preparing, we are training teachers.
Yes.
It has not even developed the CV.
Lie.
It's a big lie. It's a big lie. And when I spoke, some people incited government that Sossion was undermining and fighting government programs. I was helping. I was raising an alarm.
So what happens on Monday? What happens on Monday?
When we look at, again, the curriculum in terms of subjects, we've said we want to build laboratories in every primary school.
Yeah. Or at least for now, they want to share with the ones
I want to take you to the science subject that is being taught. It is called integrated science.
Yes.
That is the only science subject being offered. And it is being taught 4 lessons in a week. Integrated science. If you go to the history of education in this country, there was a subject called general science. It was taught in Harambee schools without laboratories. And integrated science means physics, chemistry, and biology.
All of them combined.
A question begs here. If you want to promote STEM subjects, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and you are giving science only 4 lessons in a week for grade 7, grade 8, and grade 9, 4 lessons in a week, that you're able to teach chemistry, biology, and physics, when it tells you that this education system in terms of STEM education is more dilute. We've gone back to the general science, which was taught in Harambee schools, but we have since progressed from general science to physical science to pure science. In 844, we are teaching pure science from Form 1 to Form 4. And in fact, you teach chemistry for Form 1, it is 3 lessons in a week. Biology, 3 lessons in a week. Physics, 3 lessons in a week. So with all due respect, in terms of science education, this design is more inferior. And I'm speaking as an authority, as a science teacher.
Yes.
It is not working.
It's not working.
Even
it can't work.
You might have graduated through 844.
Yes.
And you remember,
I did.
Remember the chemistry you were taught in Form 1?
Yes.
Physics you were taught in Form 1. Biology you were taught in Form 1. Now it is lumped as integrated science, and it is taught only 4 lessons in a week. Tell me how many times do you visit? Each subject, each discipline had a lesson.
Yes.
I think the entire problem with this curriculum, because it is flowing from research, which I directed myself.
Okay.
I directed research studies within KNUT and within the African region as their president. So I don't speak for the sake of speaking. This cut and paste curriculum from business interests from outside, which is being forced on developing countries, is wrong. I admire Ghana, because Ghana looked at these reforms.
No.
They never changed the education structure, but they chose one thing. They said we are going to invest in STEM education. And if you go to Ghana now, government is building complete schools for STEM education.
I think Nigeria is trying it.
It's a girls' school. It's being built. It's for STEM schools. Nigeria are doing. And what Kenya should do is not to waste time. What we need is technological and industrial transformation in this country. And what I would expect the task force to do is now to save Kenyans, and we shift straight to focus on development of STEM education. There was a need to tone down this curriculum of grade 7. Get rid of unnecessary subject areas, and then split up these integrated science, spread it out, and allow more science, physics, chemistry, and biology to be taught separately. And we strictly go for pure science. When you look at Standard 1 curriculum, there are 7 subjects, 7 learning areas. And you are talking about, you want to give a Standard 1 child competencies. What competencies
Are
at
you
that
giving
level?
a clue?
Yeah, it doesn't work.
It doesn't make sense.
And I can tell you the history of CBC. It was designed in the 70s in the US for rich families. Because rich families, children were unable to join the regular school. They were at home. And that is why there are designs, lesson designs of how to swim. If you look at what the design that we had here in Kenya, there were swimming lessons. Because those swimming lessons were for rich families.
You saw what happened.
Now you tell the children who have never seen even rivers
swimming pool,
and who have never seen rain for 4 years to swim on the dust. Because you have cut and pasted a curriculum without
it's not
looking.
Practical.
Yeah, these are children from poor households. Now you are training them cooking skills, and you are training a family where they cannot get even a meal for a day. But you see, cooking in rich families, you train every child to go to the kitchen and cook for themselves. So this design was designed in America for rich families. And in fact, the US itself has not adopted. They wanted to spread it out. The US teachers refused. And the UK government tried to roll out from between 2007 and 2017, but they discarded it. You know, there are two things here about systems of education. There is knowledge-based education or outcome, which we have had. Yeah. It's the strongest, almost all countries practice. And then there is skill-based education. It's a new theory being sold around to third world countries. This is being done by rich people, and you see World Bank is involved. The World Bank is never fair in terms of human rights and social rights for third world countries. It is in business. So the UK government tried skill-based education, which is closer to competencies, for 10 years. But they dropped it in 2017. And when we were reviewing the summative evaluation that was done by Professor Labanairo with Amina Mohammed, the British or UK Minister for Education advised us not to go this particular route and to be bold about it, because it doesn't make sense to undertake a program that you will drop midway. Because it has been dropped. Yes, they dropped it. Yes.
We will drop it.
Yeah, they dropped it. Because in terms of resources, this one will die. It will eventually die.
What is the lifespan?
It will die on Monday.
On Monday?
Yes.
When it's
not very far. Because tell me, where are you going to get 160,000 teachers?
They say that other teachers...
And you look at the economy, look at the economy of collecting revenue, 2.1 trillion. And now we are comparing ourselves with the UK, US. Those are rich economies, they have resources, they can hire teachers. Our economy is fragile, 2.1 trillion.
You can't.
And 1.4 trillion goes to repayment of loan, 600 billion goes to salaries, and it is over.
It's done. We don't even have a budget of 3.6 trillion. We have to go and borrow.
That's the reality. We must match our economic capacity with an education system that we are mounting. And what did Asia do? They looked at the education system and said, yes, what Asian tigers needed was STEM education. Go to Korea, because I visited Korea myself, not on a tour, not on a luxurious tour, but on a working education visit.
Yes.
And Korea decided to invest in STEM. Even Japan, the same
You've really emphasized on STEM.
Yes.
You've really emphasized on STEM.
And Korean education system is STEM. Singapore education system, STEM. Malaysia, STEM. Yeah. China, STEM. Yeah. Japan, STEM. We must begin looking to the East as Kenya and even as Africa
for education
and move to STEM. Okay. The way Ghana has moved, investing in STEM is the best. The way Nigeria is doing, and several other countries. And that is why in Korea, the top students choose teaching.
They want to be teachers.
Yes.
Not pilots, not lawyers,
no, it's teaching. Teaching is made the first profession, because you are preparing citizens for industrial revolution.
Yes.
And the main education system in Korea is actually STEM education, and it's taught by the best. So that the
A students go for education.
Yes, so that the 1,000 A's we had here in Kenya would be going to teaching. And you can imagine over time, they've built a generation of high caliber teachers. And that is why they're beating everyone in the world. And that is what is happening in the entire Asia. And I think what Africa should do, because I've been within the African continent speaking for teachers, what Africa should do is to invest in STEM education. It is easier, it is cheaper, it is possible, it can work. Yeah. And as you can see, the agenda of Kenya Kwanza is to reorganize the basic education, to invest in TVET, to make our TVETs work. And we have seen the commercial courses, secretarial and the rest have been removed from TVET institutions so that they can move fully to STEM education within TVET and even at the universities. That is what we need. And that is why my professional and honest belief is that government and all of us, this presidential working party should give us an education model that is going to allow our citizens to pursue STEM education, majority of our students, to facilitate industrial revolution and technological revolution, so that in future our engineers can be the ones owning the manufacturing industries and farms in this country.
Tell me, I will talk about that. We still have a few minutes on the clock. I'm very interested in Monday because most parents, if I would look at social media right now, they'll be so concerned with what you're saying, that catastrophic failure on Monday. The president on the 4th of January told us that they are ready. Even if it's one teacher per school, because there are only 30,000, the other teachers will step in to seal that gap that will exist as a result of not hiring new teachers. They were only able to hire one. How is that going to work?
The only thing that needs to be done, and it will be done in the long run, is to tone down the current curriculum design.
Okay.
Tone down the 12 subject areas. It is only very exciting to distribute books that have been published for all the 18 areas and pay billions of shillings to the publishers and the writers. And those books will be in schools without teachers. Books alone cannot teach. And you must tone down that curriculum to what government can afford and what is a priority.
Let me ask you as an expert.
That will have to be done.
Yeah. Let me ask you.
As long as that is not done.
Let me ask you the 12. Let me ask you. So we have English, Swahili, mathematics, integrated science, health education, pre-technical studies, social studies, religious education, business studies, agriculture, life skills education, which I don't know what life skills education is, and physical education and sports. If you were asked tone down, what is tone down in that list of 12 main?
And I've said very clearly, narrow down to invest in STEM education.
Toa, I want you to delete this list.
At that level. Yes. I don't think we can be casual in this show and now say remove this and that. But what is it that the country needs? What do we need as a country? Industrial revolution, technological advancement. What will allow us to do that? It is STEM education.
Okay.
STEM education in that list is integrated science, isn't it?
Yes.
Integrated science is given how many lessons in a week?
Integrated science is given
4 lessons in a week. 4 lessons in a week.
In a week, yes. 4.
The level of science knowledge that will be imparted in the learners between grade 7 and 9 through that integrated subject will be solo. Yeah. What we shall be doing is creating slaves out of our education system for the global north.
English 5 lessons.
Between English
and integrated science, which one
needs more emphasis?
I know. There's also 5 here.
Honestly.
Pre-technical and pre-career, 5 hours a week.
Pre-technical and pre-career, that is electricity, woodwork, home science, and all that.
Optional subjects.
Yes. Yeah,
Still not sufficient.
And then the question is, because it is compulsory, in all the 30,000 schools in Kenya, do we have pre-technical teachers?
Good question.
Because when at the design stage, you see the curriculum review, you start from summative evaluation of the existing curriculum, step 1, step 2, needs assessment, and then step 3, develop policy design. Policy means you discuss in parliament, discuss everywhere. And that should have, and at that stage of policy, then we should have talked about training teachers in the subject that will be.
And
training should have started
4 years
that
ago.
time.
Yes.
But right now, we have not started.
It's too late.
We want to roll out.
It's too late.
Stage 3, stage 4 is development of curriculum design. That you're able to see there will be no double intake, it will be smooth, the progression will be good. But here we have come. We are faced with double intake. That will run almost
now
3 years.
Now they have addressed, they look like they've addressed it, but it's not addressing it.
It is not addressed. It means the design is very poor.
Yes.
Then stage number 5, professionally, because you are a lawyer, I'm talking what teachers do in terms of curriculum development and foundation, is designing the syllabus. Step number 6 is designing, writing the books and the materials.
That's the final stage.
And testing them.
That's
no. That's stage 7.
Okay.
Piloting.
Piloting, okay.
You pilot, and you have a summative evaluation report that is shared, which scores the success of the pilot. And that pilot, the curriculum must score at least 50%.
Okay.
If it doesn't score 50% and above, then do not adopt it.
Okay.
And then finally, roll out.
Roll out.
And then you roll out as you do evaluation.
Oh.
This was not done
at all.
That is why I kept saying.
I think we started from the last.
It was Simon Makonde curriculum. You want to start it and finish it within a very short. It doesn't work that way.
I'm coming to you for your summary of this because we are out of time. But as we leave today, we chose the video of the week to be the late Professor Magoha for obvious reasons. So the first video, it's a joint video actually, is a soundbite. Then later, it's a video that has been trending online. So let's take a look and then we can come back to SG here for his final remarks on this.
I have been nominated here because of what I can offer. If I was nominated here to represent the Jaluos, but if you want me to serve political interest, with all due respect and humility, I am the wrong person for that appointment. I would like to see Kenya as a nation. I would not like to be taken to a silo where you say, well, you represent Siaya. God forbid.
Well, we will miss him. So many memes because of the late Professor Magoha. We'll definitely miss him. And I had several opportunities when I worked for the other station to interview him, and he was a good man. So I'm being told here we can only get 2 minutes. You have to talk about exams as we end because we've talked about.
And I asked Professor Magoha several times to play me a guitar because when he was at Starey, I used to tell him, when you was Starey, you used to sneak to some clubs here and play a guitar. And he said, yes, I used to, and to play some guitar. Now, on national exams, I've seen very sensational, you know, Kenyans are very interesting. We always love negative things and would like things to happen negatively. Why do we present 800,000 learners for exams so that we can evaluate them? Now, when 1,000 of them, only 1,000
out of
800,000 scored an A.
An A, yeah.
Then people say, no, this is, there was leakage. Forgetting that by 2015, when the candidature was at 500,000, there were 3,000 A's.
Okay.
Before Matiang'i engaged in a war with Professor Mbithi at the University of Nairobi to restrict and reduce C+ and above male to finish SSP program at the University of Nairobi to frustrate Professor Mbithi, which was a very wrong action.
That was the reason that happened?
Yes, and anyway, I can argue it anywhere. But I'm happy with the new government. A lot of things are being done, and the exams, according to me, they were done above board. And if there are questions, there are institutions in this country to validate all those questions, according to me and according to international standards. When you have 500,000 candidates still at grade D-, then it means we are running an examination system that condemns learners. That curve is what we call negatively skewed curve, which is wrong. We need to normalize our grading system and be fair to the students, because we must facilitate their transition to the next level. And I dare say, with the candidature of 800,000, we should be having close between to 5,000
yes.
and 10,000 A's.
A's.
There's nothing wrong. If students deserve A's, give them. Don't deny them.
Don't moderate them. Don't moderate the exam.
Don't suppress.
Yeah.
Moderate and create what we call a normal curve.
Yes.
And I think it is time we allow experts in measurement and evaluation to do this. And I have a lot of confidence that the Minister Machogu, with a lot of experience in administration, which Kenyans don't know. This is a very firm administrator. I've interacted with him in Parliament and as a minister and with the personnel of the ministry. Everything will be okay moving forward. And I'm sure with time, the 19% that we have should be able to move to between 30 and 40%. According to me, we should. We run a very strong education system where grade C in Kenya is equivalent to grade A in Botswana. So why do we stop these students from accessing university education, tertiary education? If we are talking about 100% transition from primary to secondary, let us also talk about 100% transition.
Or at least you ask it 30 to 40.
From secondary to university. Yeah. Those joining secondary to tertiary institutions, those who can join university should be around 40%. The rest can spread 60. To the other institution. And let us not condemn children. Let us ensure that we mount exams that are no leakages, that assures learners. And in fact, if this is corrected and we open up transition in a good way, there will be no leakages. It will disappear. There will be no attempt. We'll run credible examination systems that are believable internationally.
Thank you, Wilson Sossion, Secretary General, former Secretary General, Kenya National Union of Teachers, of course, former nominated member of Parliament. Thank you for coming. Always a pleasure talking to you about education matters. I really want to talk to you on Monday when this begins. I'll give you a call.
Give me a call, because everything that I've ever spoken about comes to pass.
Yes, I'll give you a call.
Because it's based on research. And I would like to appeal to the Ministry of Education and the good government of Kenya. That education, let us run education for once through evidence. Let's encourage research. Any new policy, any new program should be backed by quality research and quality data. And those research activities should be continuous. So that when a minister is speaking, you are speaking based on data. And so that we don't engage in politics of ping-pong games, like we are not sure. Because I would like a minister, when a minister is speaking,
we're out of time.
You are speaking from where? You must be backed by research. And not just research, but quality data from research.
Like
we will never go wrong.
They say numbers never lie, if you work them right. Thank you so much for watching News Hour tonight. My director, Joanne, is in my ear. And we have to end right here, News Hour. Thank you for watching tonight. Meresha Wite earlier on sign language. On behalf of the whole team, next week, same place, same time, I'll be right here. But remember, we run with this Monday as schools open. I'm going to call Wilson Sossion. We're going to comment about this. Ken Bijungu is my name. Have a good night and God bless.